Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon, and with me, as always, is Caleb. And we are continuing on with Cult Movie Month, and we're doing our 300th episode.
Bum bum
I
bum.
can't believe it's been 300 episodes
Dun dun dun.
in such a short period of time. But we're going to be talking about a movie that we've covered once before, and that is Deadly Prey. But before we get to that, we're going to do like we always do. And Caleb, have you been watching anything good?
um, Nothing too much to share and talk about. Am getting prepared and it is here before you know it. College football's almost back, so that will definitely
I
be
know.
consuming a lot of my time. Um, my wife was watching Justified, which I had talked about, pretty decent show. I mean, I caught some episodes. But it is kind of interesting. It is a show. I don't know if it was like a mini series afterwards or if it was a multi-season show. It definitely did not last as long. My wife didn't
Okay.
tell me how many episodes, but there was like a second Justified show
Hmm.
where the main character was older. He had a daughter, and so she was older, and actually was supposed to be taking place in Detroit, which was kind of interesting. So I think it was just kind of like one of those little bonus, little mini series kind of thing.
Rock.
So saw a little bit of that. That was pretty good. She just started watching Burn Notice.
Oh yeah. Bruce
So
Campbell.
I think so. I've
Yeah,
never
I think
seen it
he's in that.
before. She's never seen it, so I'm sure I'm gonna probably catch some of those episodes and give updates along the way. But yeah, other than that, Bob's Burgers and the usual. So
Rock. Oh, I haven't really watched a whole heck of a lot. You might have me beat this time.
oh snap.
Um, really, anytime I've had time to watch anything, I've watched King of the Hill. Uh, I last end of last week I played some college football, but I haven't really been able to do it this week. Uh, I watched the Lions' first preseason game, at
Mm-hmm.
least most of it. I
Epic
mean, it's
as usual.
preseason, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, really the only other thing I can mention is that I've been listening to Last Podcast on the Left again, and they did like a 6-part series on the Manhattan Project, which is the building, United States building and developing the atomic bomb,
Mm-hmm.
and then dropping it in Japan at the end of World War II. And it's been pretty interesting, just like and how crazy the effects of that was, like were, like when it blew up and the like is anybody that was like in the direct vicinity of when the bomb blew up were like instantly vaporized, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like women wearing kimonos, the pattern of the kimono was like burnt into their skin.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Like houses 10 miles away had their windows blown out, like just from the impact of it. It's nuts. But yeah, more of like a historical thing that's pretty interesting. But other than that, um, I did watch Deadly Prey, so we might as well go and cover it for episode 300. Deadly Prey is from 1987 and is directed by David A. Pryor. The plot is a group of sadistic mercenaries kidnap people off the streets and set them loose on the grounds of their secret camp, so the students at the camp can learn how to track down and kill their prey. The cast, we got Ted Pryor as Mike Danton, Troy Donahue as Don Michelson, Suzanne Taylor as Jamie, Cameron Mitchell as Jamie's dad, David Campbell as Colonel John Hogan, and William Zip as Jack Cooper. This is the second time we have covered this movie. It was one of our very first episodes, but
Mm-hmm.
it definitely warrants another look.
Oh, for sure. I actually don't one thing I wasn't sure. Oh, actually, I mean, I don't have an exact date, but this was back in 2019.
Yeah,
So, since 2019, we've done 300 episodes.
rock. We have almost an entire. You could listen to one episode a day for almost an entire year. We're
Yeah.
getting there if you choose to do so.
Perfect way to spend your year.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember exactly how I became aware of this movie. I think I was watching like a YouTube video or something like that of Rambo ripoffs,
Okay.
and this popped up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to watch this movie. And I bought like a bootleg DVD. It was one that somebody just did like a VHS rip, and they put like the really crappy like mid 2000s DVD menu on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
uh
So that quality was amazing, I'm sure.
oh yeah, definitely. I still have that DVD somewhere, but I think since then they've had like a Blu-ray release and everything for this movie.
Hmm.
Uh I'm not sure if this might have been a shot on video movie, so the quality like probably never was like amazing. I don't know. I have it on Betamax, but I haven't watched it on Betamax since I got
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, to see if it's any better than the DVD I got.
Well,
But
here's an important question to ask. Did you know that there is a deadliest prey?
I did.
Have you seen that one yet?
I have not. No.
Okay.
And it does have Ted Pryor in it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I saw Ted Pryor's in it, and it was 2013, and he's Mike Danton.
Mm.
So,
Was it
you
also directed by David A. Pryor before he passed away?
know,
I think it might have
yes, it
been.
was. Yep.
Yeah. They're brothers, by the way.
Okay.
Um, Ted would show up in a lot of David A. Pryor's movies.
Gotcha.
Uh, yeah. Sledgehammer is another one I can think of off the top of my head. And Ted's in that one as well. That's a slasher movie. It's known as one of the first shot on video slasher movies. So,
Well,
yeah, that one's very strange. I think that might be on a list sometime for like an awesomely bad month,
okay.
something like that. That one's. I remember that one has a lot of slow motion in it. Surprisingly, this movie doesn't really have very much slow motion in it, if any.
Yeah, I don't know that it does.
Yeah.
It has a lot of other things though.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll start off saying that I really enjoy this movie because it's so awesomely bad. I would say it's on the same level as Miami Connection. I still think Miami Connection is like the pinnacle of awesomely bad movies, and I
Hmm.
would put The Room up there as well.
Yeah, and it in a different way, Riccio
Yeah,
would be up in that top 10 area.
Ricky-O is just one of the craziest movies I've ever seen. It's so off the wall and nuts.
Yeah.
Where this one, it's by the numbers, just a Rambo ripoff.
Hmm.
There's so many things in it that are just, oh yeah, you guys saw Rambo one time and decided to make your own. uh, Even down to Ted Pryor as Mike Danton. He's kind of similar build to Stallone.
Yeah. I don't know if we
Super
talked
jacked up guy.
I don't know if we talked about it the first time, but what about the way that he runs? Like it's like he's trying to flex while he runs.
uh, you gotta say flexing so the ladies see it.
Yeah, like I was just kind of I don't know, it was really awkward. I don't know if I really recognized it the first time that we talked about the movie. I want to say
I
so
think, uh,
well, I was just gonna say this is at least the second, I think third time I've watched this movie because I don't think I've really watched it all that much outside of for our episodes.
I think you and I watched it together. One of
Yeah.
the first times, like that I watched it.
Mm.
I think that was one of those movies where, um, when I was living in Williamston, I think we might have watched it together.
Yeah, there were a couple weird ones that we watched then. I do remember that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so it's probably your third time watching it. I don't know, maybe I think I've maybe seen it 10 times, right around there.
Okay.
But I was gonna say that Ted Pryor, I believe, had more than one spread in Playgirl magazine back in the day. Uh, it just makes me think of Talladega Nights. I did a spread for Playgirl magazine, and I do mean spread. You probably didn't hear about it because it was the summer you were gone, and I did it under the name Mike Honcho. But oh man, there's another crazy slasher movie from the 80s that's got Ted Pryor and it's called Killer Workout, aka Aerobicide.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not sure if that one is directed by David A. Pryor. It may have been.
Hmm.
Yeah. Again, like I always say, if I was a better podcaster, I'd know this. It was directed by David A. Pryor.
Boom.
Interesting. But I think every single one of Ted Pryor's movies are done by his brother.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of
Acting ability.
yeah, there's not a lot of reason for him to get a leading role outside of maybe having connections. So,
Yeah, I could see him just as like he would be one of those guys where it's like you're looking at the credits and it says muscle dude, like
well,
muscle guy or like bodybuilder or something like that and it would or wrestler and it would say um Ted Pryor.
it totally could have he totally could have been uh an extra team member for the Predator or not the Predator
Yeah.
with like another member of the task force,
Hmm.
but not the main guy, obviously.
Yeah, a guy just got like a few lines kind of like Shane Black
Or
in
doesn't say
Predator.
anything.
Yeah, he's got like maybe two, three lines and he's not as memorable as like Jesse Ventura's character. It's
No.
like, oh, we got this guy with a blonde mullet. It's kind of jacked up. Said like five words in the whole movie.
Yeah.
But I, honestly, he wasn't a terrible actor. Like he was not great, but he
He
fits
was
the movie. I will say that the worst actor in it is the girl who plays his wife.
yeah, I was gonna say he
Oh my
did better
gosh,
than
she's
his wife
horrendous.
did. Yeah.
And I would say the best actor is probably the wife's dad, but it's also Cameron Mitchell, who's the most famous actor in this movie.
Yeah.
He did odds and ends of plenty of things. It was kind of a thing in the 80s, especially with horror, but and things like this as well, lower budget movies, where they would get a big name actor who is kind of like on the decline of their career to
Hmm.
put in with a bunch of like newbies. And you can even see that in like Friday the 13th where they got oh, why can I not think of her name? Anyway, but she was Mrs. Voorhees. She was a bigger name at one point. They also did it in, I believe Cameron Mitchell was in another slasher movie, but uh, Leslie Nielsen was in Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's very strange. But yeah, take a decent name actor who was on the downswing of their career and put them with a bunch of newbies. It happened a fair amount around this time. And that's kind of what Cameron Mitchell here was here for. And I don't think he was around too long during the shooting. It was probably one of those things like, here's like, here's a couple $1,000, come in and do one day.
Yeah, he his stuff easily could have been one day.
Oh, another is instance of this, and I can't believe I didn't mention it, is Donald Pleasance in Halloween. Like he was a big name actor thrown in this low budget horror movie
And
with a
then it
bunch at the
became
time, a bunch of people that no one knew.
yeah, and then it became
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yep. Um, I guess some other things that maybe don't work as well as the audio is horrible throughout.
Oh yeah.
It could be maybe the transfer that I watched on YouTube. I didn't watch my DVD this time. Like, so I found two uploads on YouTube.
So
The
did I.
first one I was watching was super high quality,
Mm-hmm.
but the audio dropped out
Yep.
probably like 15 minutes into it. And I don't know if it was just like YouTube copyright cracking down on it. And then the other one was maybe like 320 quality,
Yeah.
like really bad. Like if you were to tape it off TV on a 6 hour tape at the slowest speed,
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's what it looked like.
I saw both those as well. And so whenever the high quality video one ran out of audio, I went to the other one,
Oh, okay.
and then I would check back in like 10, 15 minutes, and then I would go back and be like, "Oh, the audio is back." Okay.
Oh, it's hilarious. Uh,
Yeah.
maybe I should capture my Betamax that I got and put it up on YouTube.
Nice. Yeah, definitely be better than that one.
But
So,
yeah, it'd have to be. Um,
dude,
yeah, but
there were plenty of things I forgot about this movie.
yeah,
Like I forgot his wife got killed.
yeah, I forgot that too. I remember that she got raped
Yeah.
and roughed
Yeah.
up, but I don't remember her being killed.
Yeah. Well, if
Uh,
we're not to downplay the seriousness of that situation, but the way that it was portrayed in this movie was very um oh gosh, not non-confrontational or very lackadaisical. I don't know the right word for it, but she's when her dad shows up, he's like, "What did they do to you?" She's like, "They raped me, daddy." And it was just like that might be the worst scene in the movie.
yeah, well, her delivery is so incredibly horrible.
Yeah, like she's sitting there pouting like a little girl,
Yeah,
not like someone who just was physically assaulted.
yeah, like it seems like she'd be in the fetal position crying or something.
Yeah.
And then the dad just like, God, jumps up and tries to choke the Colonel Hogan.
And then he gets shot, and I forgot he died too.
Yeah, yeah, same. Oh man. Well, I guess before we get like too far into this, we can talk about some of the scenes other than that. Uh, this movie starts off really weird. We get like this guy running through the woods being chased by like these mercenaries, and he like tries to fight back with a rock, and he ends up getting shot. And it's all like super dramatic. And then we get to meet Mike Danton, whose his alarm clock wakes him up. It's like we see him doing stuff, getting ready for the day, and he goes to take the trash out, and his van drives up, and this guy's asking him a question, and, like the bad dudes could jump out and like knock him out.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking like I've seen this movie before, so I know what's gonna happen. And looking at it, knowing what's gonna happen in the movie, I'm like Danton's supposed to be like this big badass special forces guy. I was like, how is it so easy for them to capture him?
Yeah. Well, the best thing, and this goes back to the opening scene, but then also throughout the first half, maybe first hour of the movie,
Yeah,
um, nobody wants. There was the initial runner and Danton, the two guys being chased. Nobody
yeah,
wanted to pick up a weapon.
no,
Like there were multiple times that they defended themselves and or killed one of the mercenaries, and they just refused to pick up their weapon. Like totally does not make sense and big plot hole in this movie. And
because Mike Danton is the weapon, dude.
sure.
He's got to be registered as a lethal weapon. I love so when they pick Danton up, he's like in short shorts and a tank top,
Hmm.
and then when they uh basically tell him to go run and they're gonna hunt after him, he's just he's barefoot in these short shorts, and he's super greased up and like oiled. It's looked like they got a bunch of baby oil, and it's like, here, rub yourself down. He looks like a professional wrestler walking down to the ring. He's just
Not
like greased up and glistening.
not quite as greased up as Hulk Hogan though.
Yeah, God. Yeah. He doesn't have this the skin of a hot dog either, like Terry Bollea. Speaking of Hogan, that's the bad guy is John Hogan,
Yeah.
brother. Uh I love though when they show Danton and they go up from like the camera pans up from their knees and goes all the way up to his head and it's like dan, dan, dan. And
Deadly
we hear
prey.
yeah, we hear that music tons through this. It's like every time they show Danton, it's like dan, 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 dan. Uh, and we get, a typical action movie cliches. He's got to spit one-liners and they're like, okay, now run. He's like, you're gonna die. Like, okay. And it's funny because nobody knows anything about him. They're just like, oh, this guy looks like he put up a fight. It's like we could chase him, but little do they know, like he's basically Rambo.
They made a huge mistake.
They chased the wrong guy. And it's like he starts laying waste to guys super fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one after another, and it gets to the point where he like destroys all these new guys, and one's like, everybody's dead. And Hogan's just like, who the hell is this guy? And he goes to like help and check it out. And there's like a dead body on the ground. And it's like, it's probably my favorite line in a movie because he walks up, sees the guy, and he's like, this, I know this style. It's my style. Danton? Mike Danton? It's gotta be. Your
Is
your style of killing? You have a specific style?
yeah, like what, stab them a bunch of times, or
Yeah,
like I could understand maybe later if it was like the booby traps, because that's a
right.
little bit more of a specific style, but all the other stuff was just like, dude, everybody basically kills like that.
He stabs some necks. He stabs some guys. He grabbed a dude and gave him a backbreaker on a tree.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Oh, another Danton one-liner we get is this. He captures this one guy, and this guy's saying, he's like, I don't know. He's like, I just started today. And then Danton looks at him. He's like, bad timing. And he kills him. Uh, oh, we get Colonel Hogan's like henchman. He'd be like the guy you'd fight before you get to the boss. And I just referred to him as Shades. I don't know what his name was. He's got like this
Yeah.
poofy 80s mall hair and big sunglasses, and he does like spin kicks like Van Damme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he like jumps up. Oh, it was like the guy that came and was like, everybody's dead. Like Shades gives him like this big spinning back kick like Van Damme, and then he snaps his neck. uh, I like to this whole time that Danton's gone, and his wife saw him be abducted, and she runs out in like black lingerie or like a nightgown or something, and she watches the van drive off. And then we get all the scenes of Danton running through the woods and like killing guys. And then we show Danton's wife at home, and she got dressed because she's wearing a white outfit, and she calls her dad. I'm like, how long did you wait to call somebody? I saw my husband get hit over the head and dragged off into a van with a bunch of strangers. I was like, but I had time to run inside, get dressed, you know, get ready for the day. And then I called my dad instead of calling the police.
Yeah.
And like the conversation they have, um, she's like, Daddy, like somebody took Michael, and he's like, did you call the cops? which is a legit question. She's like, "No, you're retired. You know that." Like, what?
Well, if her reasoning skills are as good as her acting skills, then I guess this shouldn't surprise us. So,
Oh my God. I think she was really just there because she looked good.
yeah.
They're like, okay, this is an attractive woman that we can have be married to Danton. And as
It's
long as she can talk.
yeah, it's one of those things where you really believe that a lot of her scenes were just done in one take,
Oh, for sure.
where it's just like, okay, this is what you say. Okay. La 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 la.
Yeah, here, read
Cut.
this.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Um, so then Hogan finds out that it's Danton and he's like telling everybody, like, oh, this guy is my the best student I ever had. I was like, he's a killing machine, best trained guy I've ever come across, kind of thing. And then he's like explaining, oh, he was 1 in 1,000, which cracks me up because you never hear that. It's always 1 in 1,000,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's 1 in 1,000. Uh, when they there's a scene where they check the corpse of a guy and then they run off and the camera pans over it and Danton is legit only like 8 feet up in a tree and he's maybe 10 yards away from him, but they don't see him.
Oh my gosh, yes, I
It's like
hate that.
here's a 250-pound dude, greased up, jacked up guy with a blonde mullet up at a tree with no leaves on it, and you don't see him.
Hmm.
Uh,
That was the dumbest. That was one of the worst. Like there are
yeah.
several things in this, but that was definitely one of the worst. There's another one that I'll get to kind of when you get further along in the movie because I'm pretty sure that you're going to cover the scene, but yeah, that if by that scene people have not labeled this movie as an awesomely bad movie, then they're taking it way too seriously.
Oh gosh. Um, and we find out that one of the new recruits, that Cooper guy, was in the war with Danton, and like Danton took a bullet for him. So now like they're friends, and he later joins Danton to like fight these guys off. We get some kind of funny kills where like Danton hides himself and leaves, and somebody walks past him and he just like pops up, grabs the guy, and stabs him.
Yeah.
And he hides in the water, and it's like, okay, we get it. You remember in Rambo 2 where he hit up against um that ledge covered in mud?
Yep.
It's basically what this is.
Well,
Uh,
there was another part too, because I think it was early enough that it was before he kind of like escaped, you know?
hmm
Because basically, when he escapes and then he goes back, like he had time to set traps and all that. But I'm pretty sure it was before that, where he had guys chasing him, and then he built some sort of like camouflage cover contraption thing, and he dug a hole.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, dude, when did you get time to do that?
yeah. What did you dig with your hands?
Yeah, like how are we supposed to believe that you were able to do this?
Because it's Danton. Oh gosh. And there's one guy that gets like the best of him. He hits him with a gun, and then he like it's weird because he just walks over and pops Danton's shoulder out of his socket. And I'm like, that's just set up to make Danton look like a badass so he can pop it back in by himself.
Yeah, I had to check and see if this when this was related to Lethal Weapon because Lethal
Oh yeah.
Weapon did it,
Yep.
and I think it was before. So
Oh man. They
because
beat Lethal Weapon to that.
yeah, because that was Lethal Weapon 2, wasn't it? I think that they did that.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that was in '89. So maybe Lethal Weapon 2 got inspiration from this movie.
You never know. Oh man. Yeah, he then we see him pop it back in place, and then it's like uh they show there's another great line where it's like they're still looking for him. It's like, is there any sign of him? It's like, no, just bodies. Uh, and then it's like okay, then we get the night scene where Danton's like in the woods and he's eating worms, and then he cooks a rat and eats it. And I think it's funny the next morning he's just like sleeping under a tree and these two like good old boys show up and they like wake him up and tell him to get out of there and pull a
Yeah.
gun on him, and Danton just like jumps up and he runs off like a feral animal.
Well, and then the scene right after that, which I thought was really weird, was the mercenaries were asking those guys if they saw him, and then
Yeah.
they tried covering for him.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah.
And then they just blow those guys away.
Yeah.
Another one of Danton's traps is he pushes a bunch of rocks down a cliff onto people, and it's obvious they're just like cardboard boxes.
Oh yeah.
They're so fake looking, especially the way they bounce and like they have so many like flat sides on them. Oh man, that cracks me up. And then we get like Danton's standoff with Shades, and all of a sudden Danton's shoulder is just like perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it makes me laugh too, because like Danton's supposed to be some kind of super soldier, but it's like, but Shades just beats the crap out of him, and he's gonna
Yeah.
kill him. And then Hogan's like, "No, I want him alive," because he wants Danton to like join his team.
Mm-hmm. Which is, of course, there's a couple times where there was a perfect opportunity for somebody to kill him, but it doesn't happen. There's that time when Hogan's like, "No, I want him alive." There's another time where somebody has a gun pointed on him and tells him
Hmm.
to freeze, but then he turns around and kills him. Where why didn't they just shoot him? Like that was the whole point.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, he wants him alive. He tries to get Danton to join him. Danton basically tells him to shove it, and then Hogan gets like all pissy about it and storms off. And they basically leave Danton just tied up in a tent by himself. I'm like, this dude is especially trained, almost like a Green Beret or something. And you're just gonna leave him there with a lot of time no one watching him, and another time was like that random woman who was like one of the top in command with Hogan watching him. And of course, like Danton gets loose, and then he starts killing people, and then all of a sudden Hogan like wants him dead. It
mhm.
seems like after Danton didn't want to join him, he would have just killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, oh, we get Jamie's dad too popping up with a shotgun. So he gets out of his truck and he grabs a shotgun and starts walking off into the woods. And then the next scene they show him like coming across the camp for the mercenaries, and his gun is gone.
Yeah.
Like that's just a continuity problem there. I was like, what do you
Yeah.
do with a shotgun?
He just left it out there somewhere.
He's like, yeah, I'm tired of carrying this, throws it down. Oh man. Um, yeah, so Danton breaks free. He chokes. This big guy goes to choke him, and then Danton grabs a grenade off the guy's belt and drops it in his pants.
Yeah.
And it blows him up, and then they like pan back, and it's just a pair of smoking boots on the ground. That cracked me up. I was like, what
Yeah.
is this? Like a Bugs Bunny cartoon?
Great special effects. Oh, and no blood anywhere either.
Yeah,
By the way.
yeah, none at all. And this is around the time too where Danton like escapes and gets back home, and he realizes his wife isn't there because um like the mercenaries came and captured her because they knew where he lived. And um like Hogan's woman is standing there waiting for Danton. He talks on the phone to Hogan. He's like, I got your wife. Blah 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 blah. And that's I think it's about the time where he rapes her too. So
Yeah, it
then
may have been before that, but yeah.
yeah. And that's when Dan we got a montage of Danton like preparing to go back.
Well, you didn't even touch on the most bizarre part of that whole thing because this
Hmm.
is back in 1987.
Yeah.
And so he gets back to his house, and that lady was waiting there for him. And basically, as soon as he starts talking to her, the phone rings and she picks it up and gives it to him. And it's just like, this is for you. And so they just knew exactly what time he was going to be home.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I feel like there was another movie that we watched that had something similar to that. It's like, how did you know exactly when they were going to be there?
Yeah.
The timing of it. Oh, I forgot to mention before that too. There's a tank that fires at Danton, and he dodges it a bunch of times, and then he runs up and just drops a grenade in the hatch,
Yeah. That,
blows a guy up. That one cracks me up.
so that was the other scene that I was waiting for you to talk about. Because one of the worst parts of that is it does it from two different camera angles. So they have the camera angle on Danton, who's like running through a field,
Hmm.
and then they flip to the camera angle showing the tank, and it aims and then it shoots at Danton. Goes back to Dan, who gets an explosion right next to him. He hops back up, but immediately he like starts running in the direction of the tank,
Yeah,
and then they cut to the angle of the tank, and he's right at the tank.
yeah.
So basically, the way that they're making your mind register that is that the tank basically took a shot at him from 15 feet away.
Either that or Danton's the fastest man alive.
Yeah, one or the other.
Doesn't he like pop up from behind the tank too when he jumps up on it? I feel like he
Uh,
comes from the back of it when he jumps up.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, and then he just drops that grenade in there, and he's like he holds down the hatch until it explodes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh man. There's another weird line too, like when Jamie's dad's walking through the woods, and one of the mercenaries just in the pops out of nowhere, and Jamie's dad's like, "Halt! A friend or enemy?" And the guy says, "A friend," and he's like, "You're a liar," and shoots him.
Yeah, because makes total sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, it's just like, who else do you expect to meet in the woods out there, dude?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
are you
You've already
expecting?
seen the base.
Yeah. But here's,
If it's not one of the mercenaries, it's going to be Danton, and you know Danton.
yeah. And so this is supposed to be like some kind of big mercenary camp and everything. How the heck are people supposed to know that her dad isn't just like somebody who's supposed to be at the camp?
Yeah,
Like the only reason that they knew that he wasn't was because he was sneaking around and hiding. Like if he was just strolling through
I
and
thought about that too.
acting like he was meant to be there because the guy in the suit shows up.
Yeah,
The guy in the suit, Michelson, shows up whenever he wants to, and he just walks right through. Nobody asks him questions.
yeah. Like,
But
well, and the dad could have just showed up in camo,
yeah,
walked around like he was meant to be there.
hmm but he wasn't a very good detective or police officer, I guess.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Well, well, he said at one point that he was a police officer for 30 years, and then like 15 minutes later, he says he was a police officer for 27 years.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God. The montage we get of Danton grabbing a bunch of weapons and making himself look awesome
Hmm.
with his camo paint and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty epic.
Yep.
Oh, if I forgot to mention too that Cooper saves Danton. Like he shoots one of the mercenaries. Now he's like fully on his team,
Oh
and
yeah.
he finds him when Danton comes back, and they basically like team up together. And I could not get past the fact that Cooper looks so much like Adam Baldwin,
Oh,
the
okay.
guy who played Animal Mother in Full Metal Jacket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he looks so much like him. Like big, kind of hulking dude with dark hair.
Hmm.
Always looks like he has a dip of chew in his mouth. But that's what made me think of this time watching it. We get lots of booby traps. We get, the branch that whips out and it's covered in barbs and it goes into the guy's legs.
Hmm.
That is totally stolen from Rambo. Um,
Well, what about the one that goes into the guy's neck?
oh yeah, that one too.
That's a pretty decent one there.
Yeah. Just kind of odds and ends and stuff like that that you would expect to see in a Rambo movie ripoff. Uh, oh, and at one point, Danton has an RPG. It shoots a helicopter down
Oh yeah. And then he also
through.
uses it to shoot blow up like a group of guys
Yeah, he just had this stuff stored at his house, I guess.
for a rainy day.
I guess you never know when you're gonna need it. Just like maybe you ordered for it in the mail, like Paul Kersey, Charles Bronson, and Death Wish 3. Just get it out of the mail. Order an RPG to blow some away. Never know when you're gonna need it.
You could get anything shipped to you back in the 80s.
That's true.
I shipped my pants.
It shipped your pain. Oh man, classic. Uh, and then so Dayton's wife is found by Shades. Hogan ends up holding her hostage, and he keeps calling for Danton. And it's like you're yelling for Danton, but are you sure that he's like even close enough within range to get there in time?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna kill her. He's like, you got the count of 10. And then Cooper shows up and to try to save her, and he gets shot by Shades. And then of course Danton shows up as Cooper is dying, just so we can hear the
Yeah, the
noise.
dramatic,
That's pretty much all it was.
the Oscar acting moment.
Yeah, and then Shades shoots Jamie, and it's pretty believable.
Hmm.
Like that shot, like she whips back and like
Her
at
best
this,
acting, man.
yeah, it really was. It looked like she just got her head blown off, and then Danton like loses his mind, and he runs towards Shades, and he lops his arm off the machete and starts beating him with it.
But no blood. No
No
blood.
blood. Yeah, it's just he just goes full on barbarian, and then he scalps the guy. Again, hardly any blood.
Yeah, a
The
little bit with the scalping, but none with the
Yeah,
arm. The arm
and
was like,
Hogan's
yeah,
yeah, none with that. Like there should have been blood spray everywhere, like in Miami Connection
right.
when that dude gets his arm lopped off by a katana.
Hmm.
YK Kim knew enough to put an excess of blood in it. Then like Danton finds Hogan and he like throws the scalp at him. He's like, "That was your best soldier." And then he makes Hogan strip down and run, and then like he's gonna hunt him, and he just like screams, and then they play this emotional soft rock ballad at the end. And that is pretty much it. That just the movie ends kind of abruptly.
Yeah.
Like you expect him just to like completely destroy Hogan, but he's like, "Take your clothes off, run," and then that's it.
No, you can't make me do it. No, no. Yeah, that was really dumb. Also, I forgot about how long this movie was.
Yeah, it's like what, an hour 40, hour
Yeah,
35, something like that.
but it just felt really quite long though.
The pacing's strange because he he makes it back home and then he
Yeah.
comes back. So
Hmm.
the pacing's really weird. It's an hour and 28 minutes.
Okay.
Also, this movie came out 1 year and 1 day after I was born. It's uh, let's see here. Anything else? Oh man, that guy that played Michelson, that dude
Mm.
cannot act either. His voice, I said it sounds like the TikTok AI voice. Like it's very monotone and sounds robotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty bad. AKA the suit guy. Um, I had the one thing that was great was Danton's bitchin' mullet. He had his flow on lockdown. Uh, I don't know what it is about Ted Pryor, but he's a charismatic guy, I would say. He's got a screen presence.
Yeah. No, he did pretty good. Obviously, I haven't seen him really in anything else, so I don't know his other
I believe
work.
Sledgehammer and Killer Workout are on our schedule. I'm not sure when, but I believe both of those are.
Well, I might have to check out Deadliest Prey sometime just to see that, but
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch it. I think it's on Plex, but I've been meaning to watch it. Just haven't watched it. I heard it's not as good, but
yeah.
it'd be interesting to see like how he does acting now.
Hmm.
Like I didn't think he was like a horrible actor, but he's you could tell that he wasn't like a professional actor.
Yeah, he doesn't have range.
No.
So, he fit well with this, and there were some parts that he definitely could have done better, but it's I mean, cliche 80s action hero kind of thing. He didn't really need to do much with that, and so he got the job done.
Yeah. Yeah. Um it's kind of funny in Sledgehammer. I remember him just being like a normal guy, but he's still just like huge and jacked up.
Hmm.
And they just don't really draw attention to it. Where this one, it's like, oh, he's a killing machine and he's like an action hero, so it makes sense. But kind of funny. Anything else to add? You want me to get into some trivia and facts? I don't have very much for this.
I don't think I have anything else, so go ahead.
Okay. So the scene where Ted Pryor eats worms, those are actually real worms that he ate.
Gross.
Yeah. And
Why?
I was just thinking, like, Danton, or not Danton, Ted Pryor's just like, okay, in this scene, I'm gonna have to eat worms, and my own brother is the director, and he's making me do this.
Well,
Like, what a jerk.
I would kind of think
Uh,
about from an aspect of it's just like, well, this movie's not like going to get critically acclaimed or anything, so we don't need to take it that far.
yeah. Oh, the rats that Danton is supposed to be eating, that's fake. But the rats that were like running around when he caught them were from a pet store.
Uh,
Um, so the 35 millimeter film stock that was used to film this movie was all short ends. All AIP movies use short ends of the film as their film stock. This term is given to leftover film from better budgeted films, which can be bought at a cheaper price. The largest rolls were saved for dialogue, and the short rolls were used for action scenes, which meant that the camera was constantly reloaded with new film on every take. Numerous emulsion badges were used, which meant every roll was different and the rolls were different ages and some were old.
oh gosh.
So yeah, it was shot on film. It was not shot on video. So I answered kind of my own question there.
Hmm.
So there was no time spent color timing and post production. There was an aim to not use different stock types in the same scene. Like Fuji and Kodak and all that kind of different kinds of film. Because of this, there has been some speculation that the movie was filmed on 16 millimeter. However, it was, like I said, 35 millimeter short ends.
Hmm.
So the estimated body count in this movie is 65,
Oh, okay.
and it's including the number of men in the tank, but not Hogan's implied death.
Okay.
And that is all I have because I don't see any numbers for budget or box office for this movie.
What?
If it was ever even released in theaters, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't see. Wait. Yep. I don't see anything in our old notes either from the first time, so
If I had to guess a budget, maybe a couple $100,000.
$50. Couple cases of
I don't know.
beer.
There's at least some explosions and stuff in it, so
Yeah.
and they had to have some special effects for like the stabbings and all that, so the budget had to go somewhere. And then grades. IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes. I will say that there is no critic rating for this on Rotten Tomatoes.
No. Okay. IMDb 4.2.
It's a 5.0.
Oh, okay. So Rotten Tomato audience 63.
55.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then our grades. You want to go first?
Um, yeah. So it's I'm a little bit torn on it because it's not as fantastic as I remember it to be. And also
Yeah.
with our little conversation about awesomely bad movies when we first started this episode, um it's definitely not a top awesomely bad movie. So it's kind of on the fringe. Like we
Yeah.
mentioned those easy ones that are like 5 out of 5. And so this is kind of on the fringe. Um I do because I have seen some other awesomely bad action movies though. And so as far as this one in the action movie genre, I do feel like it's one of the best. Um Definitely if you kind of go I have not seen all of them, but when you go into the genre of Rambo knockoffs,
Mm-hmm.
this very well might be the best one. So I'm still comfortable giving it a 5 out of 5 for it being what it is. I think that may have been what I gave it originally. I can't remember. But it's not to be taken seriously. It's over the top ridiculous. You're looking for the bad stuff. You're actually not looking for it to be anything amazing or polished. So I can still give it a 5 out of 5. I was kind of wavering a little bit there just because we've seen a fair amount of awesomely bad movies in our time.
Yeah. Um, yeah, like you said, I would consider awesomely bad movies like Miami Connection and The Room as like the top tier. And then I would put movies like Deadly Prey and Hard Ticket to Hawaii like in that secondary tier.
Hmm.
It's it's not as hilariously bad as Miami Connection where you just want to keep watching it because there's just so much ridiculousness in it.
Yeah.
But it is really funny and I love the ridiculousness of some of the kills, like where he hacks the guy's arm off and beats him with it. Like the first time I saw that, I about died. I'm like, oh my God. Like usually people joke about that. And like they did that in this movie.
They went there.
They went too far. Um, and the acting is so goofy in parts that it cracks me up. Again, not as the acting's not as ridiculous as Miami Connection, but it's still a movie that I really enjoy. Uh, I would say it's one of my favorite awesomely bad movies, so I gave it a 5 out of 5 as well. But I said Miami Connection is still my number one favorite awesomely bad movie.
Hmm. Rock.
So, if you guys are liking the show, please like and subscribe and share. You can follow us on social media. We are on pretty much every platform. We got some stuff on YouTube. We got some stuff on TikTok. Go check those out. We're going to be continuing on with Cult Movie Month. Next time we're going to be watching a movie that's like super popular and considered like a classic, and most people have seen, but I've never seen it. And that's The Blues Brothers.
I've actually never seen the whole thing either, to be
Oh,
honest.
really? Okay. So yeah, it'd be interesting. This will be the first time in a long time that we're both coming into a movie fairly blind.
Hmm.
Because I've seen bits and pieces, but I haven't seen the whole thing either.
Yeah.
But yeah, come by next time. We're going to be talking about the Blues Brothers. And until then, as always, be kind and rewind.